Hey, this is Ed Sanchez, the director of Blair Witch Project and a couple of other movies you may have heard of. You're listening to Diminishing Returns.
Happy New Year! It's 2020, guys. 4 more years. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. We're looking forward to the new year, aren't we?
Can you believe that election?
Yes. Well, you are kicking off your year in style, listener, with part 2 of Diminishing Returns, living in the past, looking over 2019 and taking you with us.
Last week, I'm sure you all listened, we did the first 6 months of 2019 in terms of our little reviews, going back on them, and today we're doing the second half of 2019. If you're not aware, we do what we call Diminisodes on our Patreon stream, in which we review new releases. And this episode is going to be a combination of shorter edits of those episodes.
Yeah, heavily truncated. We're keeping about 2/3 of each episode exclusive to Patreon listeners on average, I'd say, and then consider this an ad of what you're missing out on. But there's loads of exclusive shit still on Patreon that you can't hear in these episodes. And of course, we will be adding to it with new stuff as and when we see it. So, do you really want to wait 12 months to hear what we thought about No Time to Die?
It's
Patreon. That's the one. That's the one they want to know about.
Patreon.com/dim returns for all your Diminisode needs.
And if you heard last week's episode, you also heard parts 1 and 2 of the 2019 Diminishing Returns music quiz, which Calvin and Alan left on fairly neck and neck. Calvin's on 9 points, Alan's on 10 points. We will be playing rounds 3 and 4 of that this week over the course of this episode. I'll tell you right now, I saved the good shit till last. Oh. Like, all that stuff last week was bullshit, but there's some alright bangers coming up this week, so just you wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose we left off on Toy Story 4 last week. I mean, I wasn't massively sold on it, but it's one of the better films of the year, I would say. This week, we're going to kick off with the other end of the spectrum, really scraping the bottom of the barrel. 2019's The Lion King remake. Ooh. What a piece of shit.
Based on the footage we've seen of the trailers, we thought the problem's going to be the animals aren't expressive enough. It's going to lose a lot of the charm of the original. We knew there was an extra sort of 20 or 30 minutes or something in it, which all those fears were founded.
Yeah, having seen the film. Where did that extra 29 minutes come from? Because they didn't add any new scenes.
No, it was just
They didn't add any new songs. They didn't add any new characters or plots. No. I genuinely don't think there's a single new scene in the film.
They just extended everything.
They just kind of sang everything a bit slower and lifelessly. And fuck me, it started to drag at the end. I was really getting bored.
I was falling asleep, actually, for whatever that worth. I mean, I guess I was tired, but I was literally falling asleep in the end of this film, so not a good sign.
I mean,
not a good sign.
I went into this thinking, because reviews came out before I saw it, and they were lukewarm at best. Well, no, mixed maybe. No, just, mixed, I guess. But they all sort of suggested that it was practically shot for shot, or at least beat for beat from the original. And I thought, well, I'll go and watch a stage production with a new cast. I'll go and watch a new production of a show I like. People do that. Maybe I can look at this that way. It's a new production of an old classic. And I think that might have worked had they actually done a good job with the material. But the acting was really bad on the whole. There are some exceptions, but and very capable actors, but giving lifeless, bad performances. James Earl Jones, even, who obviously we know can play this role well. I'm so familiar with the original that I was comparing his delivery sort of in real time, and it was just not as good. I mean, not only does he sound old now, Mufasa sounds sort of like an old, decrepit lion rather than the strong, fierce man he's supposed to be. But, for example, in the original, he does, "You deliberately disobeyed me." And it's a really nice delivery. And in the new one, it's just like, "You deliberately disobeyed me."
It's tired.
It's just so, like, lifeless and, ugh. I just don't know what they were thinking. Chiwetel Ejiofor, I think he thought he'd been cast as Mufasa.
He definitely sounds like Mufasa, doesn't he? Which is supposed to be brothers, I guess, so that's fine.
But Scar's meant to be this sort of fun Machiavellian. He's meant to have a bit of sly charm to him, and that didn't come across here. And it's not that what Chiwetel's doing is bad; it was just miscast. John Oliver, decent Zazu.
I have to say,
really, really struggled during the song, but
well, yeah. But I slagged him off based on hearing that song before the film. I was slagging him off a bit, but I have to say he was something of a highlight.
That song, but that, to be honest, I'm going to put down to whoever arranged the sound mix of the whole thing, whoever was directing his audio. So probably Jon Favreau and the sound mixer. Because it was just badly... everything about that song, and the songs in general in this film, everything about how the musical numbers are handled in this film is basically a film embarrassed to be a musical and not willing to embrace that it's a musical. It's all thrown away the same way that the songs were handled in the Jungle Book remake. But that was fine, because that wasn't a musical. It was just a kind of, hey, I'm just going to kind of sing this as if I'm humming it to myself in the shower. And this film refused to cut any of the songs, but then it wouldn't do any of them properly. They were all just a fucking hindrance to the film. And then they had the fucking audacity to extend that fucking "The Lion Sleeps Tonight" throwaway gag that's literally about 20 seconds in the original film to a fucking fully fledged musical number. Does everyone love that moment so much? Because I don't. It's probably my least favourite part of the original Lion King. Hate it.
It worked. It just, they extended it too long. Just do it if you're going to do it. But it was when Timon and Pumbaa came up, suddenly laughter, children's laughter at everything they did.
Well, they were clearly the highlight of the film.
Yes.
They ran away with it.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen felt like...
But again, you could see a lot of other people doing it.
He cannot sing. And it didn't sound like they tried to do more than one take. Like, he didn't even try and hit those notes. Just fucking hell, get a voice double in. Like the original film did. Let Jim Cummings do it for Jeremy Irons. Get a professional singer in to dub Matthew Broderick, because he's not good enough, even though he's a Broadway star. Like, fucking hell. Don't let him sing if he's that bad. And poor Billy Eichner, who can hold a note.
Yeah,
fucking stuck with that opposite. But yeah, Billy Eichner was the standout cast member for me, because he's different enough from Nathan Lane to make Timon his own, whilst embodying the same spirit of that character. You're not constantly comparing it against Timon as we know him. I thought he was great. His performance was so lively. Notably, we have Beyonce, Queen Bee.
Now, I'd completely forgot that Beyonce was in this until I saw her name in the end credits. I was like, oh, yeah. So at no point when I was watching this film did I think, oh, that Nala's a bit shit actor. So I think in that sense, she was fine.
She was fine. And
does she sing at all?
Only cast members who can sing.
Does she sing at all in this film?
She sings Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Yeah.
And there was a bizarre moment where Simba runs back home to go and fight Scar, and you've got the music over it in the original. They did that, but they, instead of putting that music over it, put an original song called Spirit, recorded for the film by Beyonce Knowles, over the top of it, and had Nala running behind him, So you had this weird, like, diegetic, non-diegetic crossover of an actor performing a song over the top of a character that they're playing, but it's not the character playing it. And bizarre as it was, and as awful as the sound edit job on that song was, it just baffled me, because this is the perfect opportunity to just add something a bit different from the original film. Just have Nala sing that song. Have her break into that song as they run home together. You're showing them running home, so have her sing that on the way instead of just playing it over the top. Let Beyonce have a big moment. Because the moments where they did expand upon Nala a little bit did work better than most of the film. They had the bit where she was sneaking away, really heavily expanded. It was just... I mean, it was a bad film. I kept thinking, could they have done this almost like a nature documentary?
Yeah.
Just like you're watching real animals, no singing, no talking, you're just watching them behave like real animals, you know the story.
Because everyone knows the story, you get away with it.
Yeah.
And I think you'd probably make it significantly shorter.
Yeah.
Because there's lots that you would have to take out, but...
Yeah. I think that would be fascinating. I really do. And to be honest, they could probably reuse a whole load of assets from this film and just pump it out as like a new version in like next year. So they should do that. It was bad, man. It was really bad. 3 out of 10. Fuck this film.
Whew.
I wish a bad cold upon Jon Favreau as his punishment.
Oh, come on. Harsh. I would say 5 out of 10. How much of that is just for unbelievable visuals?
Calvin, you've not even bothered with it, have you? That's how terrible.
I just can't be bothered with it. I've not seen Aladdin either. Like, I'm sure I will watch them probably. In fact, by the time this is aired, I probably will have seen it, because it's the kind of thing that you can probably just stick on when you're with your family at Christmas and you're not too discerning, and it's like 7 o'clock, you're sort of nodding off anyway, but you just want to have some film to watch in the background. I'll probably see them both in that capacity.
It's absolutely a film you can talk over the top of. I'll say that much. It's fucking terrible. Right. Next up, It, Chapter 2.
Quick review of how we felt about it. A really great adaptation of the source material, and did the best they could with it, because I don't think the source material is very good. Took the most interesting part of the story, which is the kids' part, and really made it work. But that means the sequel is made up of all the stuff that's left.
Yeah.
So...
I don't know if you saw my Facebook status where I reviewed this film, Alan.
I did not, because I hadn't seen it, so I didn't read the thing because I didn't want to.
Okay. Do you want me to read it out to you?
Oh, go on then.
I put Stephen King's It, Stephen King's shit.
Yeah.
And then I commented underneath that, It Chapter 2, It Chapter Poo. Less witty, that one.
What a wordsmith you are.
And then I did It Chapter 2, It Crapter 2.
Man, that's the first one, yeah.
And then I did, Alan, I did It, number 2.
Yeah, that's straightforward. You should have started with that one.
Yeah. And then I just capped it all off with They All Float Down Here. Because there was there was a fecal theme running through.
So I'm gathering you didn't particularly care for the film.
No, I really did not.
Neither did I. It was everything I feared it would be.
Yeah. It was... I mean, I thought it was dreadful, actually. I thought it was really bad. I thought it felt like a different director.
Yes.
I couldn't believe that someone as masterful as the first film certainly appeared to be in its technical filmmaking and ability to craft tension and fear and character, put together this sub-Goosebumps piece of shit.
Well, I think, again, completely hamstrung by the source material. If you're going to stick to that source material, then it's not going to be good, no matter what you do.
But I think it demonstrated a complete lack of understanding about what made that source material work, that the first film seemed to be so understanding of, you know?
Yeah.
I was blown away by how bad it was. Wasn't remotely scary at any point for a start, but the film never felt like it was trying to be scary. It's like its tone was all over the place, you know?
Yes,
it kept trying to be comedic. There was a bit where they hallucinate a dead person's head and it grows spider legs. And then Bill Hader, they do a crash zoom on Bill Hader, and he goes, "You gotta be fucking kidding." And it's like, hang on, we're doing like spaced Edgar Wright style references to movies now, aren't we? That's not... The first film did a very good job of hand-waving the fact that none of the rules were made any sense and so on. This film didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. It was just like, oh... You're going to come back, he's going to get you, but you don't have to. None of the the characterization was all just like... There was just so much shit that didn't need to be there. Like, we were introduced to Beverly Marsh again. She's in an abusive relationship. She runs away from it. End of. Never comes back again. Never feeds into her character. Pointless.
Actually, that is directly from the book, and from what I remember of reading the book, this is pretty sticking to it. But that was something I didn't like about the book, that she was this kind of abused, put up on character, and then there's this kind of moment where she is like stands up for herself, and then but it never really feeds into her character that she's either like an empowered person now or she's not, because she's still a victim complex or what. Plus everything we've seen about her character as a child is about escaping an abusive father. Yeah. So to then have her in an abusive relationship, kind of, I know that happens where people with abusive fathers go, but the whole point of her character journey is to kind of overcome that somewhat. Yeah. Although that's pretty weakly handled in the first film as well.
I didn't like the way James McAvoy was playing Stephen King, and there was loads of weird meta stuff about, mate, you are shit at doing part 2. I know. Well, everyone keeps saying I can't do a second part very good. I keep fucking up the ending. Yeah. Oh, man. What's that about? What are they trying to say? Because he somehow writes an ending at the end of the thing, but it's not like he's gone through some character growth that makes him good at dealing with endings, and it's not like they set him up as someone who's unable to finish a task that he's set because of some trauma that he overcomes. He's just like Stephen King writing, oh, well, everyone always says I'm bad at endings. And then Stephen King has the gall to put himself in the film. Like, you want that bike, do you? You want to go down that road?
Not many people have ridden that bike over here.
But you're the big author. You want it. You can afford it.
Yeah, that was a weird...
There's a bit where the one played by Calvin goes downstairs and he's worried about germs, and then he sees the leper from the first film, and it comes at him and he fights back and he starts strangling it, and then they play a split second of Just Call Me Angel of the Morning. Yeah. As it vomits over him in slow motion. It's like, what
was that?
Well, hang on. Are we making a Bruce Campbell movie? Or is it a scary film? What is it? What's it supposed to be? Because if it's Evil Dead, fair enough. Like, I don't mind the Chinese food coming to life and spawning little baby heads and going, wah, and attacking people. But if it's meant to be a serious film, don't do that. It's awful. And Evil Dead would do it in a way that was actually funny and like original and well directed.
But that's it. Like, if they committed to the funny, it might work.
There's that bully kid comes back, only to do a kind of Scatman Crothers in The Shining and be immediately dispatched. So you're like, oh, I didn't know they were going to kill him right away, and it was just a complete red herring. And there's just lots and lots of, I remember when we spoke about it in our main episode before this, Calvin, I think, hit the nail on the head, and he said there's just such a great deal of restraint on the part of the director. He cited the scene with Georgie being killed at the start, where you see it. You see Pennywise reaching out of the drain, and Georgie's far away enough that you know he can't possibly reach him, like, unless it gets supernatural and his arm stretches. But they cut away and you don't see the arm stretch, and then he pulls Georgie in, and it knows what it can show you and what it can't, and it leaves stuff up to the imagination. It Chapter 2, on the other hand, has a sequence where they run down some catacombs and Pennywise's arm extends like Mr. Tickle and chases them down the corridor. but it can only extend an arbitrary amount of the way before he kind of gives up on it.
Plus, then there's loads of other scenes where he's sort of a giant spider and he can't get in this big hole, but like why can't he stick his arm down there?
It's like a Legend of Zelda mini boss. That'll mean something to the listener, Alan. I know you don't play video games. But a lot of it's just a lack of restraint. You go back now, look up the teaser trailer. I mean, don't actually, but when we're done recording, and listener, look at the teaser trailer for It Chapter 2, where they just have an extended scene of Jessica Chastain going to her old house and sitting down with a little old lady. It's a tense, creepy scene in that trailer, partly because they cut before a big lumbering Muppet thing comes, like Big Bird from the Sesame Street comes chasing after her, made out of like it looks like the thing at the start of Army of Darkness. It's like a big rubbery monster. I mean, it's CGI, but it looks absurd. It's comical. It isn't remotely scary. And people were laughing in the cinema when I watched it. And the big climactic moment at the end of the film, because I've heard people say, well, it's not scary, but it works as like a fun adventure film. No, it doesn't. No. The way they beat Pennywise is by going, "You don't scare us. You don't scare us," and he goes, "Oh no!" Oh!
But they bully him into
he shrivels. He shrivels up into a clown-shaped condom.
That was definitely that scene. I was watching it. I was thinking this scene would just work so much better if they were 13-year-old children.
Yeah. So bad film, bad decisions all around. Yes. And I loved the first one. I really did. But no, I give this one a 5 out of 10, and I thought it's very generous. But yeah.
Well, I gave it a 4. So yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Wasted.
Lost. Yeah, waste.
Calvin, you haven't seen it yet, have you? You only saw it, the first one, like a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right, well, we'll check in with you about what you thought of that in like 2 years, 2021.
That sounds fair. Yeah.
All right.
I'll see it by then.
Cool. It's bad.
Oh no!
It's disappointment. Yeah.
Oh.
After that, we did something that you probably will enjoy: Downton Abbey. But did we enjoy it, Calvin? What do you think?
Oh, I don't think you did.
Regardless of the show's quality, I think the takeaway was that I kind of took fundamental issue with the politics being presented, the ethics being presented by the series. There's an air of classism, I guess, about Downton Abbey, and this idea of celebrating subservience to people who perhaps don't deserve to be put a pegging above others. Mm-hmm. The top credited cast member in this film is someone called Tuppence Middleton. So I think
that's a posh name.
I don't think that my feelings are perhaps gonna have changed.
So let's get into Downton Abbey.
I think our main concern was how the hell do you go big in order to make this TV show?
The Queen's coming round.
Yeah, and like, how do you justify it as a film? How do you make it feel like more than just a Christmas special or something?
Well, the answer to that, Sol, is they don't. They do fuck all.
They don't even try, do they? I mean, to give them credit, there's a lot of locations that I feel like you probably wouldn't get in the TV show. Just a willingness to be like, oh, we can go inside this person's shop. We can leave the grounds here. Oh, it's shot quite nicely. That there's more fancy camera movements and so on than you'd get on the show. The music was much nicer in terms of its arrangement. They'd obviously hired a bigger orchestra. And that's about it, really, isn't it? Everything else is just basically an episode of the show. Not even any big stars in it.
And the writing has all the same flaws in it that it does in this. Awful writing. Really awful writing. So just to give a very succinct example of why the writing is terrible in this, and how we talked about this in our episode when we were talking about the series. This weird, like, making small things very big and big things very small. So there's a series of subplots in this film because it feels like it's written as kind of an episodic thing anyway. But there's a subplot where the Irish fella, he kind of gets asked to help in an assassination plot to kill the king.
Oh,
but then,
God.
It turns out he's actually a good guy and he's just keeping an eye on this fella, and they foil an assassination attempt.
Look, I know I'm not a big fan of the king and the queen, but I don't want to kill anyone. What do you take me for?
But that story, which could be the entire plot of the film, if you wanted, that's a way of making a film big. I was going to say that when that happened, it was like, oh, they have gone big, and then it was like over 3 minutes. Then later, it's over. But that story is given as much screen time, as much dramatic power, and as much sort of play as the other subplot, which is, oh no, the chairs have arrived, but there's no one to put them out, and it's raining. Oh, we'll have to put our coats on to put these chairs out. That subplot is given the same importance. And then there's this whole scene where they have to go out, and even Hugh Bonneville puts his coat on and helps out to put the chairs out because all the servants have gone to the fair in town or something. Yeah. Like, that is as important as an assassination attempt on the king. And even from a character point of view, like, suddenly this character that they live with and trust is mistrusted because he's Irish, and they just make nothing of that.
Yeah,
that's the sort of terrible writing you're dealing with here.
Yeah,
and then the main thrust of the plot is that the grandma Maggie Smith is trying to contrive something with inheritance, and Imelda Staunton's got a maid who's really her daughter, which was pretty obvious right from the start. To the point when there was a big reveal, I was like, are they taking the piss? I don't know. So, but Maggie Smith, certainly they lean on her. She gives all the good lines. She gets all the best stuff.
I know it's not a big deal and I should really just let it go, but I really struggle to get over the sycophantic, like, arse-lickery, oh, the royals, we love these people that were born into being our rulers. We're so in love with you. Oh my God. It was horrible. It was disgusting. Like, Gillian Fellows pays lip service to it. He obviously went, oh, those pesky Republicans, those people who don't like the royals, we'll give them the time of day. We'll give them, we'll make it a fair, even-handed film. Oh, hello, it's me, the stupid character that says bloody stupid shit all the time.
Why is everyone deference to them bloody stupid?
Why is everyone bloody like the royal family? Oh, do be quiet, for God's sake. I think it's bloody stupid. Oh, you would say that.
The thing is, this is set in the 30s, right? So, I mean, people were like that, and the working class particularly, like, you're never going to meet someone like that again. It's like meeting a major celebrity and being starstruck. Like, that is the equivalent. And there was a lot more respect for the royal family back then. So I think the characters are quite in keeping with that.
Yeah, I don't mind that the characters in the film behave a certain way, but it's the fact that the film is condoning of it. It doesn't really ever attempt to even suggest that maybe it's silly, leaning into this idol.
It's not even that; it's that it really reinforces it as a kind of this is a good way to be. They go to great pains to bring back the head butler.
So I take it he left over the course of the show.
I think he's in it all the way through. So I assume that was like the season closer, was him like retiring or whatever. Yeah. And then they have to bring Mosley, but that character, he has to come back because he literally like hears the Queen's coming around for tea, and so he comes up and goes, "Oh, can I don the livery again?" So he obviously left at some point, but they wanted to get back in. But they just handle it so badly. So to get Carson, that's the name of the butler, played by Jim Carter, to get him back in, the guy who's now become the butler, who is the arsehole from the first series that I saw, so the fact that he's still working there is ridiculous. But they just have to tell him to fuck off, basically. And so they have to contrive this whole subplot with him, which is not relevant to anything in the rest of the film. And it really is just like, it's never dealt with in terms of an emotional fallout of him being fucked off or a professional fallout of him getting totally screwed over. So obviously that's changed in the meantime, but then his subplot is he goes and be a bit gay somewhere, and they sort of do a bit of social commentary about gayness in the 30s, I guess, which was actually all right. I
There's
didn't
more
mind
than I
what they did with
expected
that.
from the film. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
They
sort of
dared to show two men kissing at one point, and that was like,
Ooh. But yeah, so I kind of liked what they did with that. It just didn't fit in with the rest of the show. It was so separate. It was like this is another episode that we're doing. It's just bad writing. It's
well,
really,
you could have
really
cut it
badly
out
written.
without affecting. You could have cut that entire subplot, and it wouldn't affect the film whatsoever. But then the same's true of pretty much every plot strand in the film could have been removed without affecting the other ones, more or less.
Yeah.
Bad film. What'd you give it out of
pretty
10,
weak.
Alan?
I gave it 5, which seems pretty generous now, thinking about it.
Yeah,
I watched it a few weeks ago. I obviously felt alright about it at the time.
I also gave it a 5. It much like the show, as much as I take issue with it on a level of how well it's crafted, and on an ethical level, I have to say it's quite easy to sit through as kind of nothingy as it all is. It's not like excruciating. So yeah, 5 out of 10.
Yeah,
but an angry 5 out of 10. Fuck this film.
yeah, exactly.
You haven't seen that one, have you, Carl?
No, I haven't.
How have you not seen it? You're the only reason we had to do this shit on the episode.
Okay, well, here's one that you definitely won't have seen, Calvin. Rambo.
Oh,
Last
no.
Blood. Did you know that Sylvester Stallone is an advocate for gun control?
Does he express this by making films that show the horror of gun violence?
I mean, I guess that's the idea, yeah.
We did go through the whole Rambo franchise.
Yeah, and in case you didn't listen to that, or just to recap your memory, I think basically we were very positive about First Blood.
Yeah.
And then we hated the sequels that just immediately threw away whatever they built with that character and that world, and turned it into just gung-ho action violence nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly different to the kind of second, third films. They've really gone for an emotional narrative.
It's an attempt at a kind of Logan-esque old man Rambo, which I appreciated. Yeah,
and like he's done it with the Rocky franchise, so you kind of feel like he knows what he's doing. It was I guess the Rambo films are brutal. We understand that. But this was surprisingly kind of emotionally brutal. Like, it was very raw. Because usually the emotions in Rambo are like, it was my buddy for 8 years, he got no legs. That's about as good as you get. Whereas this is like, they really go to a long way to develop this relationship with this daughter figure, basically. She just gets repeatedly raped over and over again. And then, which, they don't quite show, which is, but I thought it was going to be like, oh, she gets kidnapped and then she's just sort of kept in a box. I didn't think they were actually going to go there,
Yeah.
And then like he goes to this trouble. But I liked that they went there, because I thought if you're going to make it gritty and real, let's make it gritty and real. But then he goes to all this trouble of sort of saving her, and then she fucking dies anyway. And it was like, I genuinely was not expecting that. So I really liked it in that sense. But then it was like, okay, yeah, well, now this has just become, because I thought he was going to save her and then go and get vengeance. But like, it's we have to really get you right down to that rock bottom. So very brutal. Yeah. And there's a scene where he goes to confront them, basically goes to find them, and it's not this victorious rap. They just he has no plan, and they just.
But that kind of annoyed me. It was like, what
is he doing?
What is the plan? He picks up a hammer and walks in and starts hitting them on the head with a hammer. That plan sounds like I'm being glib. That's literally what he does.
But that plan worked. It's the one before that.
And but that's what annoyed me, is that he just goes in there with a hammer and it works. None of them think to pick up a gun. It's just that annoyed me. It was like, come on. Like, I mean, I know he's Rambo, but he is like 70 now. Like, fucking hell. Just is he that good with a hammer now? He's not being stealthy with it. So I wasn't keen on that. But I get they were going for a kind of Taken thing, and I'm not a big fan of Taken, honestly. But then we get to the end, and they go into like Home Alone mode, and that's something I really enjoy. Is we spoke about this with Hobbs and Shaw recently.
Yeah,
I love it when you know you've got like an army coming, and you have to fortify your base and prepare it.
It was, it was
with traps.
It just did feel like, let's do Home Alone, like, but with bombs and guns and knives. It didn't feel like it had gone any further than that. Like, there was no, and it was just, the emotional fallout of that isn't really explored in any way. It's like the emotional fallout is, right, I'm going to kill people until I'm satisfied.
Yeah, the emotional fallout is I'm just going to channel it into revenge, which
is Rambo, I guess. That's Rambo.
Exactly. It's in character.
I wish it would be nice if it got a bit more of a sense of resolution at the end. Like I guess.
Yeah, it could have done with that. Yeah, it could have done with a speech where he says Jimmy didn't have any legs. It needed that moment. But it felt like that was missing.
What I wanted to get from the ending, and I guess it's there if I can take it. It's that, he hasn't really found any resolution in this vengeance, and he's gonna die because he can't live with the pain, and so he's just set up a situation where he's happy to die, and if he's just going to take out as many people as he can before that. Which I'm happy with that. Like, I quite like, it's quite nihilistic, but I'm all right with that as a message.
I mean, look, in a nutshell, I think the Rambo sequels are terrible. All of them. I think this is the best one. It's not a good film, but it has a lot that I enjoyed in it. It was, if I had to watch another one, like one of these again, a sequel, it would be this one. I was a bit confused what it was trying to say politically. I'm not entirely sure what... moral of the story was.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there is. It's just, here's a target, a group of enemies that I can slaughter.
But it kept getting very ponderous, as though there was a point. It seemed to think it was saying something, and I don't really know what that was.
I don't know.
But I didn't hate it.
No, I didn't.
Sat through it quite happily. It was all right by Rambo standards.
Yeah, interesting things there, and more depth than you find in most Rambo films. Definitely surprised me, put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as a rating, I give it a 6 out of 10, which is definitely one of the better sequel scores by far.
Yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 10. But yeah, it was, it's quite a high 5. It's quite a... I thought as a farewell to the character, I think it was actually, talking about the character in terms of the franchise and all the sequels, I think it was quite a good job of it. I expected it to be a lot worse than it was, basically.
Yeah, basically.
No, I remember seeing the first one of that, and we had a bit of an argument about it at university.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you thought I was being dismissive to the post-traumatic stress of post-war veterans. And it wasn't that. I just felt that if he'd just have talked to someone, he wouldn't have had to kill him. Yeah.
It's very hard for men of a certain generation to open up about their feelings.
Yeah, and that's what bothered me.
And that's something that Rambo continues to explore.
Since then, I've just not felt a desire to you shamed me into thinking that I was being offensive in some way. I've not gone near one since.
Ironically, I think Calvin would probably prefer like Rambo 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think you probably would. I could see you enjoying... Actually, no, because you don't like Taken, and this is very much in the mould of Taken. Yeah. I don't think you'd like any of them, Calvin. The
ones where he kills a lot of foreigners probably like that.
That's true, yeah, he probably would. But he does it to save Christian missionaries and stuff, and he doesn't like Christians either.
No.
Well, something a bit more obviously Calvin-esque, dare I say. Although I don't think he really likes it all that much, but I think it's the kind of thing where people just think you like it, like Doctor Who, and it's probably really annoying. The Addams Family.
Literally no one has ever...
I think we were both quite down on this film that was coming out, the new animated Addams Family.
We'd only,
we were both
we'd
like,
only seen the
looks like a
trailer.
load of shit.
Yeah.
I think I was pleasantly quite surprised by it. I don't want to sound like I thought it was good exactly, but I will say I thought it was about as good as the 1990s live action films.
Oof.
I'd put it about on par with them. I thought the attempts at joke writing were stronger. I thought there were some better jokes in there than you really got in the...
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there was still lots of, It felt like they went one step beyond, smell this milk. Oh, it's out of date. Delightful. it was like they went one step beyond.
I did not get the sense of the one step beyond there. There's one bit where Morticia's welcoming people into the home for the party, and she's like, "Oh, we're so sorry you made it. Make yourself uncomfortable."
No, I hated that, yeah. There were definitely a few moments where it was sort of like, oh, that's a nice bit of, a bit of satire.
Give me a
there.
specific example.
I wish I could remember anything about this film. This is a bad joke, and this isn't a good example, but it's an example of what I mean by going one step beyond that basic thing, which is like when that balloon appears, and then when Charlize Theron as Morticia says, "Oh, strange, there's normally a murderous clown on the other end of these things." That's the sort of thing where I think they were going like just that extra step beyond. And
it's just
it wasn't great, but it
come out recently.
I know, but it was it was an extra layer of. I thought the animation wasn't nearly as disgusting and off-putting as it appears in all the stills when you look at it in motion. It wasn't great, but it was fine. I thought the voice acting was largely quite good. I'm not a big fan of Chloe Grace Moretz, to be honest.
I found it all quite dull, and just kind of not good enough character. Like with the exception of Nick Kroll,
who is doing classic Fester.
Well,
which I think I sort of said he was probably going to do because he does have that kind
I've just recently watched Big Mouth and gone through all that, and it is just Coach Steve. It's just the Coach Steve Uncle Festival.
Yeah, that kind of voice like that.
Yeah, Coach Steve.
Yeah.
Now, please, don't worry. I'll sleep in the attic. You won't even know I'm here. I practice that move in a lot of people's homes.
I thought Alison Janney is like the villain. She brought a lot of character to that. I was happy with that.
I thought she was very in line with the sort of performance she'd get for a character like that in the 90s films.
Yeah. But then Morticia, Wednesday, Pugsley, just bland is the word.
Well, Pugsley was very different, like an attempt at giving him some character that he'd never had before, and they didn't really manage it. Wednesday Addams, Chloe Grace Moretz was just like, oh, we're just kind of riffing on Christina Ricci. This is like Chloe Grace Moretz grew up with the Addams Family, played by Christina Ricci, and now she's doing a bad impression of it, where she's overdoing it. I thought they did a nice sort of riff on the classic theme tune, for what that's worth.
Yeah.
I thought music actually was quite good in the film on the whole. I gave it 6 out of 10. Same as Addams Family Values.
I gave it a 4.
And I didn't like Snoop Dogg as Cousin It.
What was that about? What was that? Why was that?
I don't know.
Because it didn't mean
it's
anything,
like
did it?
it's like someone was high in a casting meeting and they just laughed so much when they said it, and then they were like, "What, really?" And they went with it, and
because even
it was never actually funny.
When they do the introduction of the character, there's a Snoop Dogg song playing, but it's not. It's like. It's like most Snoop Dogg songs, but it's the one that's just saying his name. So you've got the character playing you've got the character playing the part while he's singing a song on the soundtrack, non-diegetic music, like as himself.
Well, what I did like with that was that song has a very prominent use of the N-word at one point, and I was like, oh, how are they gonna work with this? And they just the song just cut out for like a split second. And when it get your attitude, it was like, okay. I'm surprised we're allowed to even allude to that word in a kids' movie. But there you go. It's the Addams Family. They're edgy.
Yeah.
Most people hate the N-word, Alan. Addams Family fucking love it. You walk around the Addams Family house, they're just like, oh, N-word this, you P bastard.
UMF.
Very on PC, that family. From another time. It's like Bride of Vernon, isn't it? It's Vernon-esque.
Yeah. Not as good, though, is it?
Zombieland Double Tap. A film that obviously I really liked, but also Alan?
Just to briefly recap on our Zombieland episode, certainly I felt that it was really enjoyable nonsense, but ultimately it's still nonsense, and that kind of just let me down a little bit. I think you were sort of on the same lines.
But I just like zombies a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. And certainly I really did not expect much from Zombieland Double Tap. Thought it was going to be shit.
Yeah.
I want to take it back, though. I want to take it back. I loved it.
Really?
I think it's better than the original, but...
Well, you're massively in the minority, but I'll tell you what I think. I do think it's much funnier than Zombieland. I think the comedy is much more of a focus, and I think that is very much to its strength.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I also think it captures the same chemistry and it has the same feel to it, but the plot just feels a bit more structured and feels a little bit more sensible. The same characters, but they're 10 years older, and that's all believable. I was really happy with it, actually. I was genuinely really enjoyed it.
Well, I'm surprised. I'm very similar. Yeah, I enjoyed it about as much as the first one. I think at a push, I'd say slightly less than the first one, but there's not a lot in it. Like I say, I think this one's the funnier film, and it's trying to be comedy. I did have some problems with it. I think the plotting, I would say, is slightly weaker this time round, honestly. I think this one just had more like, oh really, I've got to go with that, have I? Kind of moments that stood out to me. There's the pacifists melting the guns instead of just putting them in a locked room. There's Woody Harrelson.
I can go with that, though. They're pacifists. What?
Do you buy that they would have survived in that?
They're locked away, aren't they?
World?
I guess. I mean, I don't know where in pacifism, like herding people to their death, is still right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There was the whole, oh, isn't it great how we still have electricity, by the way? Oh, yeah, it's great.
Well, it was a hand wave, I'll grant you, but I thought, fair enough. They just can't be bothered with dealing with that extra issue. I thought it was a hand wave, that was fine.
I didn't mind it, like you say, as a hand wave. I was like, fine, if we have to go with that. But then, why? All it meant was that a load of scenes were lit with electronic light instead of like lit slightly differently. I don't think it didn't affect the plot at all. And frankly, I think the lighting was less interesting because of it. You know, it was just like, oh. Well, that annoyed me anyway. The fact they still have petrol and cars driving around annoyed me. I mean, I know that it's very, 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 very rare that post-apocalyptic fiction addresses the fact that there's a shelf life on petrol that wouldn't last that long. So whatever. And they introduce these 3 zombies, and then there's no real payoff of that. You kind of keep expecting some sort of... That felt, frankly, like the rules thing in the first film felt like a whole thing they'd kind of added. But I'll tell you what, the rules were good here.
But here it felt like they said like, oh, we need to throw something kind of pointless in at the beginning like we did last time because that's what people like. So we better do something. It felt more like a homage to bad writing rather than just bad writing.
It was annoying because I suppose it set up the idea that there's this stronger, deadlier zombie that's evolved. But it just felt like we needed a few moments. It felt like, for example, near the start, they're having a shootout with some zombies, and then one climbs up onto the roof of the van and sneaks up on Jesse Eisenberg. And it felt like that just needed like a little label to pop up on screen saying Ninja or Hawking or whatever it, presumably was. It just felt kind of weird that they didn't.
Yeah. They had a couple of Homer moments, didn't they? That was what they got out of it, basically.
Yeah, and, other than that, all my fears were quite unfounded. One of my big fears was that this whole idea of them having these doppelganger characters introduced.
Yeah.
And then they add Luke Wilson and Thomas Middleditch for a few quick gags, and then a big action set piece. They're just bodies for the fire, essentially. It works.
In one way, I'm thinking like, just that feels a bit of a pointless sideline. But on the other hand,
similarly, I was really worried that I was going to hate the dumb blonde girl character. But again, I didn't mind it. I thought they did a good job of justifying there being a kind of reset so that we cared about this rift between Emma Stone and Jesse Eisenberg. That didn't feel too contrived. No, I actually quite liked her character for the most part. I was a bit annoyed. I thought they were going to do the thing of, oh, look, there's actually a bit of depth to this person that they're like completely overlooking, and no, they never went there. There were a few moments where they flirted with it, and there's an extended Uber joke that I could imagine a lot of people hated. I quite enjoyed. I liked the way it addressed the 10-year gap. It felt like a different film.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like an improv that had got out of hand. I agree. I thought she was pretty good. I think it maybe needed to be like 10 to 20% less cartoonish, that character. Just a little bit down, but
because it was difficult to buy that she'd again survived for 10 years on her own, if that was truly what she was like. And I really liked that they were so blasé and modern in their attitudes towards sex in this film. It's just this kind of Hollywood product. It's quite unusual to see a woman with sexual urgency. And the fact I would have been frankly pissed off if they hadn't. She's been living alone for 10 years. Of course, the first thing she's going to do is try and fuck someone when she meets humans again. So I thought that was actually really nice. And then that they do it, and then they get some great gags out of it with the rules, cardio, enjoy the little things. I was worried that he was gonna go, oh no, you know what, I'm still hung up on my ex, and like it wasn't gonna happen. I was like, let's bet. And then she takes the power stance. There's a lot of attempts there's a lot of undermining of urgency that annoyed me. There's a scene earlier on where Abigail Breslin and her boyfriend are driving away, and then you just have this ominous shot of a load of zombies chasing after the car, and you're like, oh god, and that never turns into anything. But you think, oh, they're gonna pull over and get ambushed or something. Then the bit leading up to the finale, when there's loads of the T-1000 zombies, or what are they, T-1000, T-800?
T-800s they call them.
T-800 zombies charging towards the community that's the stronghold. And you think, oh god, and obviously Woody Harrelson's in a car, so he can beat them to it, but it really doesn't look like he'd be able to get more than,
Yeah, he'd be able to
2
do it by
minutes
about 7 or 8 hours. But I don't know how much they
yeah, exactly. It's crazy. So that was a bit annoying. But I have to say, that action set piece at the end, where they take on those zombies, was absolutely fantastic. Every bit as good as the thrilling action fun of the first film at the end of that one. I mean, there's not much else to say. It was just really solid, good fun, I thought. And Emma Stone says she wants to do one every 10 years. I'm all for that. I have to say, for this film to feel right, with it being just kind of more of the same 10 years on, it does feel like, they need to do another one. Like a third one 10 years on, then it'll kind of feel right if they do just keep popping them out. And, of course, then we got a completely pointless but absolutely beautiful Bill Murray cameo, I thought. I honestly, I sat there in the cinema watching Bill Murray fight zombies. That episode of Peep Show where Mark's watching a stripper and he says something like, no, this is giving men what they want, and men shouldn't get what they want. You shouldn't be allowed to have what you want. And I just sat there thinking like, I don't feel like I should get this pure a distillation of like personally toned joy twice in 1 year. Because I got to watch Bill Murray fight zombies in The Dead Don't Die this same year, and now I'm getting it all over again. And that final sequence, I left the cinema on such a high. So for me, it's an 8 out of 10, slightly milder 8 out of 10 than the first film. But
I gave the first film a 6 out of 10, which like almost now already thinking that's quite harsh. Perhaps I'm looking back on that film more fondly now because I'm less convinced that it was a fluke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gave this an 8 as well. Far superior as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and
Shocked.
I'm not even gonna ask Calvin. I assume you haven't seen that. But are you shocked that Alan liked it?
I preferred it to the first one.
I thought you liked the first one.
I did.
He gave the first one a 6 out of 10. I think.
I enjoyed the first one, but then the more and more I thought about it, it was like, but this, and I just did not expect the sequel to live up to it at all.
I'm gonna take the opportunity now to jump into round 3 of the music quiz.
Oh yes,
Calvin. It's your chance to make some gains on Alan. We're going to warm up again for the main round coming up later with 5 more bits of film score, like last week. So point for the composer, point for the film. All right, number 1. Let's go.
Whatever it is, I really like it.
Sounds like something you hear in a Wes Anderson film.
It is very Anderson-esque, actually, this film. Like an ethnic Wes Anderson.
I don't know, but whatever it was, I love it.
I think it's very likely we'll be discussing that film come Oscar episode later this year. 2020. Certainly, I think it's a shoe-in for Best Original Score. I agree, it's a very nice bit of music. Doesn't sound like you're going to get it, though. It's from The Farewell.
Oh.
Have you even heard of that film, you guys?
Nope.
No.
Well, I think you'll be hearing about it in the coming months. It's a film about a Chinese-American immigrant. I believe she's first generation, but moved over when she was very young and completely Americanized. And she moves back home because her family are having a wedding as a kind of cover story to get everyone together because the grandma is dying of cancer, but no one's told her she has cancer because they don't do that in Chinese culture. Sometimes they try not to tell them because the belief is that if you tell them, then they die. They get ill and die. If you don't tell them, they can just carry on living. So it's all right. Not a bad film.
I think that's medically accurate, actually.
Yeah.
That's why you never go to a doctor. Never go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Also, we can't afford it now, can we, guys? 2020. NHS.
Well, yeah, of course. The NHS is now gone.
Yes, it was sold. It was sold.
But of course, that's very relevant.
13th.
It's a thing of 2019, and we are looking back to 2019 when the NHS was still a thing. So,
Well, maybe it's gone from strength to strength in the time since we recorded this.
So,
right, next.
What's my thing again? I can't remember what my buzz was.
Kind of Laurel and Hardy type thing. But yes, Captain.
That I think is from Detective Pikachu.
No,
Oh,
it's not,
damn it!
I'm
It sounded like the Lavender Town theme.
Oh, you're right. It does a bit. Yeah. No, I really like this film score. Actually, it's not from a great film. It's from a very almost instantly forgotten film. But the music was very good.
it sounds like a horror film to me.
It's actually a kids' film, Alan.
Gosh.
Is it Chapter 2?
No. We did do a Diminisode on this, if you can believe that.
Has it been covered in this review podcast yet? Review of the year?
No.
Oh.
It was one of our many bonus Diminisodes where we just cover a film for the fuck of it. It's from The Kid Who Would Be King, the ill-judged Joe Cornish directorial sophomore effort. Lost a lot of money, I believe, for 20th Century Fox, now Disney. That was the score composed by Electric Wave Bureau, which is by far the best thing about the film. Right, next question.
Oh!
Calvin?
That's from Knives Out.
Correct.
Yay.
I watched
You are
that
now drawing.
7 hours ago. I didn't get
Yeah, literally today. Do you know the name of the composer by any chance?
I don't think
Nope.
I do.
It's
Look, give me a
Nathan
sec.
Johnson.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
I did know that.
I wouldn't have gotten that.
I did know that because I noted it and I thought, I bet it's Ryan Johnson's brother or something.
Oh,
Don
yeah,
Johnson's
I hadn't even
son.
thought of that. Well,
Love it.
I love a lot of the music that I'm playing this week, and this next clip is no exception. It might be my favourite piece of music this year. Who knows?
Masura!
Alan,
I'm pretty sure that's from Us.
it is from us.
Well,
Well done.
Haven't you already played something from Us?
Yeah, I never said I couldn't play stuff from the same film twice.
Yeah, I actually remembered that bit. That riff.
Well, do you remember the name of the composer? Seeing as at the time of recording, it was about 10 minutes ago that I told you.
Yeah, it was Steve Baxter.
No, it was Michael Abels. Let's have the rest of that
That
clip,
was
and
close
then
though.
your final for round 3. What a film. I loved Us. I really loved Us. Right, last one. Ready?
This is really strange. I don't like it. Oh, is it from Midsommar?
Yes! Well done. It is. Midsummer.
I've never seen it.
It's worth a watch. Very good.
Oh.
Very good.
Do you want me to guess the composer?
I mean, if you think you can get it,
Steve
I've
Baxter.
never heard of him. I don't even know how to say their name, but go for it.
Well, when you say you don't even know how to say the name, that...
Well, I'm going to attempt to say it. Bobby Click.
Bobby Crush.
Bobby Krlic. Now, how do you say that? Click.
Kirlich.
Anyway, Midsummer's good. I wanted to say, you know what isn't good, and then transition into the next film. But I actually like the next film, and Alan, surprisingly, really fucking liked it. It's Terminator Dark Fate. Hi, I'm a digitally de-aged Sol, and I'm chatting to an impeccably digitally de-aged Alan. And most bizarrely is we're actually joined for this Diminisode by... I don't even know how they've done it. They've like stitched Gareth's face onto an 8-year-old boy.
Hello. Well, hello. Yeah, you are referring, Sol, to the opening scene of Terminator Dark Fate, which this Diminisode is about.
By far the most impressive moment in the film. The one moment that sort of stuck with me.
Really?
Well, Sol, can you tell us how they did it then? Because I knew that Edward Furlong was coming back for this film, but I wasn't expecting it to be, he hasn't changed in 25 years.
Yeah, he didn't grow much. Smoking. So it does to you. Yeah, listeners, if you haven't watched Terminator Dark Fate yet, it opens with a very, very impressive flashback sequence. And, I mean, it was it was perfect. In terms of the special effects, it was incredible. I was sat there and I genuinely was thinking, is this deleted footage from Terminator 2?
Yeah.
What is this I'm looking at? And I looked it up, and it was just straightforward body doubles, digital face de-aging stuck over their bodies. In Edward Furlong's case, I imagine they used footage from the older films and kind of went off of that.
They only filmed him from a distance.
Yeah. But it was uncanny. I couldn't believe how perfect that technology is becoming. It's quite worrying, honestly, but it's the most impressive use of it I've seen. And that's impressive because Captain Marvel did a fucking good job of it on Samuel L. Jackson. But yeah, Terminator Dark Fate, it's more than a 30-second special effects showreel at the start of the film. There's a whole story for about 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a Mexican.
There's the whole sort of big thing set in Mexico.
It is a very Latin American Terminator film, isn't it?
Yeah. They have to cross the border and everything. If I was looking for some sort of allegory or meaning there, and I don't think there was one. But I
think they were trying to give it a bit of, well, we're all humans, aren't we? We're all one, really. It's us against the
we
machines.
don't have to be a white
What's
American
the point
to
in
be
having
a hero.
borders?
Yeah, Terminator Dark Fate. It is James Cameron shepherding his franchise again. Now the rights have reverted back to him. Directed by Tim Miller, of course, but James Cameron was holding his hand. And I mean, doesn't really have any new ideas at this point.
Well, you seem a bit stuck here, Sol. Like you're just a bit nothingy on this film by the sounds of it. So let me jump in. I actually really liked this film.
Okay.
I enjoyed it a great deal, and certainly wasn't particularly expecting to, but it felt like this was a very worthy successor to the first two films, and it was a nice trilogy. I thought it does essentially kind of do a very similar plot, but the plot all made sense. The action beats were in an appropriate place. They didn't feel too long.
Yeah, I must say,
sense.
I've heard a lot of reviews basically saying, oh yeah, it's a remake of Terminator 2, it's the same thing again. And I didn't think it was at all. I thought it's obviously retreading a lot of similar territory. It's not bringing the same new ideas to the table, but the plot was significantly different. I thought,
But I'm not expecting anything sort of groundbreaking in terms of the plot, and I thought they did a good job with it. I thought the new Terminator with this kind of mixture of big metal robot endoskeleton and then like liquid thing that can detach. That was a nice new little extra bit. It wasn't exactly...
That annoyed me. I thought, well, you're having your cake and eating it here. You can't have two Terminators. That's ridiculous. But I did like the characterization. I thought he was, the form that he took. I thought he was more charming than Robert Patrick had been.
I was annoyed that there's a bit where they escape from it on a helicopter, and it runs after them and realizes it can't jump up that high, and then just sort of looks around. And I would have loved it if it had gone all liquidy and just kind of climbed up into the air as like a big, long, liquid snake and come after them. It annoyed me that didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, I was sat there thinking, same thing as Terminator 3. This is obviously a step down from the Terminator in the second one in terms of its obvious ability to do its job. But then we ultimately find out that this isn't Skynet, and they did change the future, and this is like an alternate
totally
reality where
thing,
basically the same thing happened. So it's like, okay, it's like a remix
because it comes from a timeline that's more prone to cliche.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed this film as well. I was really on board with it for the first 2/3, and then in the last third, I just started to think, oh, I'm getting a bit bored now. And then the ending...
Really, that's what I would usually do.
Yeah. And then the ending just about pulled it back together for me. And it's a real shame, because if this wasn't just a big CGI jizz fest, I would probably really, really love it as a kind of, feel like it was a worthy successor to the original two. If it had the same mix of CGI and practical effects work that you get in the second film.
Mm.
But... it's just pure CGI, and there's a real weightlessness to all the action. what are actually quite well choreographed action sequences just don't carry the same visceral thrill when you know it's not actually happening in front of you. And I was sat there like, it's such a shame. Why is James Cameron allowed them to do it that way? And then I thought, well, actually, no, James Cameron is all about doing everything with computers, isn't he? It's just he was working with limitations of technology in 1991 that they don't have now. So he probably would have approached this film the same way, were he directing it himself.
I really liked some of the characters. I really liked the Grace character. I thought that was a really a nice combination of, you know, that sort of fragile humanity, and obviously she was augmented as well. I thought that character worked. I didn't like the way that she kept getting sick. That felt like a plot twist that was just, this is just getting in the way of things, you know.
Yeah, I liked it the first time.
Well, the interesting thing about that was I thought, okay, that's a nice way of like, it means she can't just be fighting all the time.
And it gave,
like,
I have
to
the
go and
opportunity to become stronger and to grow into that role.
But it's like, it's video game rules, isn't it? It's like, you have to go and recharge or buy a health pack or whatever. Yeah. But it didn't really come to anything. It's not like it ever became an important thing, apart from getting her away so that they could get arrested and stuff like that. But it felt like it was unnecessary. Really.
It felt like a plot contrivance, but one that worked quite naturally. You know, it allowed Linda Hamilton to catch up with them, for example.
Yeah,
that's true, yeah.
Things like that.
Let's get back to Arnie. He turns up in the last act.
I kind of, given that it was such a nostalgically driven, let's tie it all together kind of thing, I do kind of wish they'd found a way to make that the same Terminator from the second film or something like that, because I would have bought the idea that he's basically become human and he's trying to understand love and all this sort of stuff a bit more than the notion that he just kind of did it on his own.
Yeah, I was thinking throughout the film, before Arnie came in, I was like, I want a bit more humour. There was a few moments where I was like, that could be a bit more of a gag.
It felt like real T2 comedy rather than T3 comedy. It was pitched at the right level, mostly.
Yes, I thought so.
If you remember our Terminator episodes, I actually quite enjoyed Terminator Genesis. I was pretty positive about it. I gave it a 7 out of 10, in fact. Quite a weak one. When I came out of this film, I felt pretty much exactly the same about it, but for different reasons. This felt a lot stronger and more straightforward for the first 2/3. Then, like I say, I started to actually get bored of it, and then it kind of pulled itself together. I think there's more little things that I like in Terminator Genesis, like J.K. Simmons and stuff like that do it for me on a personal level, but ultimately I thought, look, I can't sit here and say this was worse than that. So it's a 7 out of 10 from me. I'm jumping into a rating there. I don't know if we've got to that point, but...
Well, like I say, I really enjoyed it. I'm not an action film fan, and this kept my attention. That's basically what I want from an action film. That means it didn't plough on too long with the action scenes, and that they were all sort of plot relevant. Anyway, so I was pretty happy with that. I liked the tone of it, and I gave it an 8.
Wow.
A low 8, but, an 8.
But I did like this film. I really liked the characters. I liked the Grace character. I liked Danny. I really enjoyed what they did with Arnie. I'm not really a massive action film guy, but yeah, I didn't get bored during the action scenes, which I sometimes do. So yeah, I would say an 8 as well.
Wow. Calvin, you haven't seen Terminator Dark Fate, have you?
No, I haven't, but it's been getting a lot of backlash for being like woke or something, so I just want to see it on that basis.
On the basis that it has some women in it.
I was going to say,
is that the only reason?
And it's about them crossing the border as well, I guess. But I mean, I don't think it was particularly.
No, I think we're just in an age now. I'm getting a lot of this with No Time to Die, where because there is a black woman in it who might just so happen to be in a position where she kicks some ass and is quite strong, people are rallying against that. And I think it's just indicative of the political climate that we're living in at the moment, and these sorts of things are just accentuating people's already bigoted views.
It's very sad, isn't it? Cause,
it's horrible.
Because I didn't even question it. I mean, that's not quite true. It obviously has a sort of vague feminist slant because, it's James Cameron. That's what he does and always has done.
I was going to say, like, doesn't the other two have that as well?
Exactly. But that's it. But it doesn't get any deeper than let's put a badass woman in an action movie. Like that's where it begins and ends. It really is. You might like it because I think similarly to me, I think you have a thing for seeing characters age up a bit, but only when they're kind of badass women. But that is what you get in this one. It's Linda Hamilton coming back as a badass Sarah Connor, and Gareth hated her, as you heard in that clip, but I didn't. Anyway, well, now it gets tricky because we haven't even recorded these Diminisodes that are going to be included, or possibly not, depending on if we manage to get them done in time. Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep. You guys seen Doctor Sleep?
No.
Well, here's a clip of us talking about it, Sol. First things first, so it's Danny, the young boy from The Shining, who's all grown up, and he is now an alcoholic, which he uses to sort of block out the visions in his head and all that sort of stuff. Scatman Crothers occasionally pops in to give him a bit of advice.
Yeah.
And he's got all these demons locked up in his head, literally. Yeah, that's how he manifests it. Nice setup. I think that's quite a good character starting point. You know, you've got this washed up guy. It does one slight problem with the film, which I think is probably better in a novel length thing, is that you kind of have that story going on and he finds redemption and sort of conquers his own demons, and then you've got the other story that he is essentially the mentor figure to, and we have this other young hero, a young girl by the name of Abra. Is that right?
Yeah. Can I ask? This is a long film. It's 2 hours 32 minutes.
Yeah.
Did it feel long to you? Because to me it felt rushed, but that's because I've read the book and I could sort of feel how truncated everything was and wasn't being given the room to breathe that I would have liked.
I would say one of my big positives from the film is it totally captured my interest and kept me in. I think it was a really well-made film, just in general. Like my major problems with it are kind of to do with plot and stuff like that, but I think it's a really well-directed, it's beautifully shot, there's some very nice imagery, the way they manifest journeying into someone else's mind, all sorts of nice little tricks they do. Nothing particularly groundbreaking, but you know, using the tool chest to its full capability. Just grabbed my interest and sort of kept me interested, even though it's fantasy nonsense, which is pretty good for me, to be honest with you. So in that sense, no, it didn't feel long. It didn't feel rushed particularly either, I wouldn't have said. No.
Yeah, I think it's just there's a lot of stuff in it that just didn't feel like it was given the room to breathe that it needed. The whole alcoholism, for example. Danny's alcoholism is a huge part of the book, and it drives and informs everything about his character and the decisions that he makes. Whereas in this film, it kind of just feels like, oh, we meet him at rock bottom at the start and then he gets over it. It never feels like anything other than like alcohol tropes.
Yeah,
like
cliches. Definitely. I mean, they literally have that sort of 20 seconds where he's considering the bottle and then throws it away. And
exactly, yeah. It just felt
pretty
very
cliched stuff.
And just little things like that, and I guess there's all sorts of stuff that it kind of feels like a messy tangent as well. Like the opening stuff with Dan, we're introduced to him with this woman and she has a baby and so on. And all of that happens in the book, but it's a much bigger part of the overall story and it keeps coming back and it just made everything feel a bit rushed to me, sadly.
In general, there's not a lot of character development across the board.
Yeah.
Like we say, the bad guys, we never get really much from them. Ewan McGregor's guy it feels shortchanged.
Yeah, because I love the characters in the book. I love Dan Torrance and the depth they brought to him. I love how much development they gave Rose, the villain, and you kind of... She's not exactly a sympathetic villain, but there's a lot more to her than just, she's evil.
Well, one thing I liked, but it never quite came to anything, was a sense that this little girl, well, she's about 13 or whatever, this girl who is extremely powerful with the Shining, and a couple of points where the main bad woman, she sort of says, like, you'll see what you'll do to live forever or whatever. And there is definite hints that this girl is quite malevolent. She's certainly capable of hurting people, killing people. Within the context, they've done bad to her, she's doing bad to them, but she is capable of doing harm. And, when she's older, what will motivate that? And I think there's a deliberate malevolence to that character, which it never quite explores. I kind of like that idea, though. I liked having that. She's not just a sort of innocent. Yeah. And, as we go along the plot, basically these bad guys are going to try and catch her, and Dan Torrance reluctantly agrees to help her, and they realise the danger, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a bit of a damp squib where they have this big confrontation, and it's just like, oh, how are we going to kill these kind of supernatural monster people? Oh, just shoot them in the head with a gun.
That is the definitive moment where the film veers off book and just kind of starts really reworking and remixing stuff. And
that's interesting.
I agree, it is a bit of a damp squib. It just doesn't quite work.
Because the idea of these people have lived for, millennia even, if not centuries.
Yeah.
But then it is just a bit like, well, they're not immortal. They might be able to heal quickly, but you shoot them in the head, they're dead. You crash them through a car. Why wouldn't you wear a safety belt if you know it can still kill you? It's not like. So that just felt a little bit kind of like, well, how have they lasted this long then?
Yeah, exactly. How did you feel about the recasting of old actors?
Well,
Shelley Duvall popping up at the start, Scatman Crothers.
Well, they were obviously happy with their Scatman Crothers alike because they showed him plenty. They were happy with that. I mean, I don't know where you find someone who looks like Shelley Duvall, but it was.
They
fine.
did a reasonable enough job. They gave them the same hair.
Enough context that we know what's going on. Then later on, the big finale is at the Overlook Hotel where the original Shining was took place. And so we have a little tete-a-tete between Danny and his father, who's, of course, Jack Nicholson.
It was a curious choice. I read an interview where the director said, we thought about going down the digital, Jack Nicholson's face route, but we thought that the technology would be a distraction from the scene.
Yeah,
and I think
that would
fair
true.
enough. On one hand, that is true. But would it be more of a distraction than a guy doing a kind of Saturday Night Live, right, Sparky, you can't handle the truth, of Jack Nicholson impression?
Actually, to be fair, I think if anything, it wasn't a caricature impression of Jack Nicholson. It was very subdued. If anything, like too much, you want a little bit more of that Nicholson twinkle. But also, I was thinking, are they deliberately trying to make it a kind of, it's sort of Jack Torrance, sort of Lloyd the bartender, so he can kind of get away with being something in between, and it's not full Jack Torrance. But yeah,
I thought that was a conceptually a wonderful moment, and I think it's done quite well. I enjoyed it being there.
Well, I mean, it basically, you've got young Ewan McGregor there. He's in the same position Jack Torrance was 40 years earlier, and he's kind of repeating the same thing. So it's a nice circular thing, and it's about him putting his demons to bed, and in this case it's his father, a bit more personal than just literal demons that were haunting him. And I think it's a nice scene, like you're saying, concept. My whole problem with that final act bit was it was just all a bit like, hey, remember this bit from The Shining? Hey, do you see this corridor? That was in The Shining, wasn't it? Hey? And it just does that for about 25 minutes. And I just feel like I didn't need all of that and every beat. And that scene itself was quite extended.
I don't know. I got a load of fan servicey vibes, a real buzz from going back to the hotel and all of that stuff. It all worked for me.
So let's rate it then. What would you give it?
I give it a very generous 8 out of 10.
I gave it a 7. which was kind of despite myself. I didn't want to like it as much as I did. I think I was surprised by how much it engaged me. Just good filmmaking, I think. Good filmmaking.
Yeah. Mike Flanagan is a very dependable director, I think.
Yeah, Doctor Sleep. Ooh, put you to sleep, Alan, from the sounds of it.
That's a
pleasant dreams. Edit as appropriate. Pleasant edit. Okay. Looking to the future again. Another one I've seen, but you haven't yet. Charlie's Angels.
How did we think? Were our hopes high when we talked about Charlie's Angels in our episode? They were they? Oh, it's good. At least I wasn't disappointed then. It's exactly what I expected. It was quite weak. It's not done well, has it? It's not been well received in general.
No, not at all.
That's good. At least I'm sort of on board with people. That's always nice.
I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's just a very mediocre, by the numbers, like spy movie.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely skewing towards bad of the mediocre range. But
it feels like what I imagine James Bond movies are all like, but I haven't seen any from after the 70s. But yeah, I mean, it's not great. I think it's just completely average. I don't have a lot to say about it. I was surprised that they embraced the idea of it being a sequel to the point that they did. I thought it was going to be a bit more ambiguous as to whether or not it was set in the same world.
Yeah, that's fine. Totally different tone to the 2000 film.
Very hot. I liked Patrick Stewart, I guess, even though he was not bringing anything particularly remarkable to what he was doing. He was just on autopilot.
Kind of that whole plot point where, spoiler alert, it turns out he's the bad guy, and sort of you think Elizabeth like that. I mean, it was just a bit obvious, wasn't it? It was a pretty blatant double bluff they were trying to pull. Also, one thing that annoyed me was how quickly they got over the kind of like, oh my god, Elizabeth Banks has betrayed us, we're gonna kill her. And then she come back and they're like, no, it wasn't. Like, oh, okay. And like, she's not like offended. There's obviously no real trust between them. That's going to be a problem, surely, going forward.
I think, looking at the three leads on the whole, I was quite pleasantly surprised with them. I thought Kristen Stewart was continuing to sort of show that the vitriol she gets against her is very unfounded. I thought she had a lot of charm. She was interesting enough. I thought Naomi Scott proved that she isn't a flash in the pan. I thought she was basically continuing her streak of being the best thing in the films she gets cast in.
I agree with that. Yeah, I thought she was.
Ella
she
Balinska,
was really
this
good as
new
well,
one, was the weak link. I agree. She really didn't have any personality or anything to distinguish her from anything. She was just there,
which is the exact opposite
of
Naomi Scott. Really, Naomi Scott really has some sort of like a nice charm to her. She really jumps out of the screen.
And it felt like Naomi Scott would have made sense in that role more. Do you know what I mean? It was
yeah, she's good though. I really like her. I think Kristen Stewart has got a bit of personality, but I'm not convinced really. I'll have to see her doing something more strenuous,
I think Naomi Scott is the best thing in this film.
Yeah.
I think Kristen Stewart has a bit of something, and this film is like doing its best to figure out what it is, and it kind of works, but yeah, it's not all the way there. But yeah, Newbie, I don't know. I don't predict much of a career for Ella Balinska.
Yeah, I can't
off the back of this.
Too far, can you? And there's quite a few little nods to previous films and things as well. Like, they did a dance sequence, which I'm sure was a nod to the 2000 film, because it was so out of kilter with the film. Like, suddenly doing this choreographed dance sequence.
It felt very Mission Impossible tonally, I would say, but just lacking the insane Tom Cruise with a death wish stunt work and action set pieces that those films bring to the table. And that was what was lacking, I suppose.
The plot itself was pretty by the numbers as well, and it was there was this kind of MacGuffin weapon thing that was never really very well explained. It felt a bit like, ooh, future. And also, there's a lot of kind of 1990s idea of computer hacking, where she's like, "Oh, I can hack anything," and then and like she's security cameras on her iPad. All of a sudden, it's just like, what's that about? It just felt, it felt very old school. It felt like 90s film in the plotting of it, and some weird elements where
90s,
some weird elements where she basically accidentally kills someone, a security guard, and it's not really dealt with. Like, she's freaking out a little bit about it, but we never deal with that emotional side of it. It feels like that should have gone somewhere. And also a very weird character called Saint. They go to him and he's like putting herbs on their wounds and stuff and giving them like probiotic drinks. And I was waiting for the joke. I was like, right, I'm waiting for the joke. And it's not there. Never came. It was just like, we give herbal medicines. We look after our soul as well as our bodies. Like, ooh, there's no joke here. And that, I think that rings through the entire film, actually. It was like, there was a lot of bits where I was like, okay, waiting for the joke. No, they're doing this seriously. Okay. And I think there was a lot of that.
There was a lot of stuff where it felt, was this written as Charlie's Angels 3 for McG to direct? And they just kind of got, like, when Elizabeth Banks came on to rewrite it, she took all the gags out because it was too silly, but she kind of forgot to remove some of them because...
it didn't feel like a very good script, frankly. I know Elizabeth Banks hasn't written much, has she? She basically hasn't written anything.
Well, she rewrote this, didn't she? And I mean, she's a credited screenwriter, but I don't know to what extent she was working with something, Yeah, it was just a bit crap.
It was.
I mean, not crap. I thought it was fine. I sat through it just fine, but it to me it felt like an inoffensive, like, I'll watch that when it hits Netflix kind of thing. If you're interested in it, it could be worse, but
it was a bit offensive, I think. It just wasn't good enough. It needed to be better. What did you rate it?
I give it a very generous 6 out of 10. It was,
I gave it a 5.
Yeah. I wrote a Charlie's Angels review that is published on Rotten Tomatoes if you want to go get a more...
Really?
I wrote... I'm actually very proud of it. Can I read you some extracts?
Yes, go.
I'm going to follow it up.
You're too legit.
I also reviewed Nicolas Cage's Primal recently, and I've been told they're talking about using some quotes on the DVD box, and I can't believe it because I was taking the piss. I said, like, when someone had the genius idea of making Snakes on a Plane on a boat meets Die Hard on a boat, they cast Nicolas Cage, and they're like, can we use the quote Snakes on a Plane meets Die Hard? And I was like, oh god, wow.
Brilliant.
I just really like that I spoke about McG as scathingly as I did. I say his first film spin-off marked the feature debut of McG, now probably best known for directing that leaked audio clip where Christian Bale spends 4 minutes berating a cinematographer without breathing. Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, a film that concurrently confused adrenaline-fueled whimsy with hacky over-editing and Justin Theroux with someone capable of doing an Irish accent. I was very pleased with this review. You should go and check it out. Anyway,
I'm looking at it right now.
So that's what we thought of Charlie's Angels. Star Wars.
Oh,
they
yes,
still doing
that was big.
Yeah, I can't believe they put my worries to rest. Made a masterpiece. Made the best Star Wars ever. Made the worst Star Wars ever. Made retconned The Last Jedi. Didn't retcon The Last Jedi. Wow.
I mean, so basically our fear was that J.J. Abrams was just going to cow down to, angry people on the internet and try and appease them. And that's what he did, to the expense of completely undermining the franchise, to the extent of setting a very dangerous precedent in Hollywood, and to the extent that, like, the film is just all over the place fucking bullshit that doesn't make any sense. But I mean, beyond that, it's a badly made film. And J.J. Abrams is a complete and utter fucking hack, and I think this film proves it out and out.
I think it delivers exactly what you expect of a basic Star Wars film. I think J.J. Abrams will, you give him that ingredient list and he will deliver it. albeit boring and kind of uninspiring. But
No,
it hits
I think
every
this
beat,
one's-
surely.
I think this one's bad. I
Go
think
on.
this one's every bit as riddled with holes and problems and things that don't make any sense. In fact, I'd say more so than The Last Jedi. But then this one isn't about anything. There's no subtext to at least sort of
Oh, there's
halfway
there's
justify it.
no subtext whatsoever. It's, look, this guy's fighting this guy. Look,
And it's
that's the
just-
war. Bad,
It's just
good,
fucking.
evil.
It's fucking rude, frankly. Like, The Last Jedi razed the franchise to the ground. It deconstructed the whole thing so that it could rebuild, so that it could have a future. It came from a place of love. This film is just trying to undo everything the previous film did because some people whined about it. It's pathetic. Like, the whole point of The Last Jedi, the big moment, is this reveal that Rey's lineage is nothing. And she isn't some special chosen one because she's, daughter of Luke or whoever.
And in the wider world of the story, that sets up the idea that, some new kid could be born anytime. A new hero
Exactly.
could be born anytime. Here's your next generation of films.
Exactly.
That,
It's
some
a
kid
really-
who works as a groom at a slave stables.
It's a really nice, meaningful, quite powerful idea, and I think it's one of the best things about The Last Jedi. I'd put that moment where she finds out her parents are no one
Yeah, we talked
up
about
with
that.
with the moment where Luke finds out that Darth Vader's his father. It's a great moment, and then this film just goes, actually, no, that not really. She's Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter.
Yeah.
You know how much shit people gave The Last Jedi for quote-unquote pulling Deus Ex Machina out of nowhere with the Force, this power that we'd never seen before The Last Jedi, of being able to astral project. How many fucking Force powers was this one just throwing in? Oh, they can heal people now.
Yeah, where's that come from? Yeah.
Oh, we better write a scene in earlier on where they heal a snake, so
Yeah.
it's not out of nowhere. So that's set up. I'm J.J. Abrams. I understand film. Put a snake
Well, the thing
in.
is, Sol, see, that's very subtle because when she healed that, you didn't think, oh, she's definitely going to heal an important character later on because it was so subtle.
Yeah. Good point. Because you know what it was, Alan? It's because that scene with the snake was so vital to the story overall and just fit in seamlessly that I just thought, yeah, that was an organic place to drop a power in, and I didn't think it was just clumsy exposition and setup.
But then it annoyed me because there's one bit where she has to get over this really choppy sea to get the special amulet or whatever, and she has to, risk her life on this little boat thing. Like, we know she can make herself levitate. She can make things much heavier than her levitate. So why not just sort of levitate over the choppy oceans?
Yeah, I agree.
Why is she climbing up these metal things and almost falling?
Why
to her
doesn't
death
she just
in a very
fly?
dramatic scene?
Yeah, not just astral project. Why doesn't she just fly everywhere?
Yeah, levitate herself. She can levitate herself, can't she? So.
Because she's on a whole new level of like being able to move things with the Force now after she explodes a spaceship that she won't let take off. Oh, that's another thing this film does several times that is very prevalent in blockbuster filmmaking, is a fake out death. Oh, the big hero character we love's dead. No. Oh, they're not really dead. Oh, we had all the emotion and we thought they were dead. Oh no, Chewbacca's dead. No, he's not. All right. Was that relevant to anything? Did that have any story purpose? Did it fuck? Oh, C-3PO's essentially dead. Oh no! What a lovely moment of self-sacrifice. What some emotional pathos for this character we love. Oh no, he's just reset back to like yesterday's memory backup. It's fine.
I like the little thing that fixed his brain though.
I love that
character.
little
I like
thing.
that.
Okay,
It was
right. I'm going to
the-
be positive about this film now. The
Go
one
on.
thing this film gets spot on, it is fantastic in its like creature design, its world building. There's some absolutely incredible locations put together for this film. Poe Dameron's girlfriend, the new spin-off character / toy played by Kerry Russell. I actually quite liked her. I thought she had a lot of personality.
Yeah, I like that character. But that was one element of a couple of elements where it's like, this is setting up for other stuff. I thought this was like the end of the thing, wasn't it? I thought that we're going on to a new generation.
Oh god,
why are they setting up that? Why have they set up Finn has the Force now all of a sudden?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Why?
Because he doesn't go anywhere in this film, which means they're planning to take it somewhere else.
That's the problem. Everything in this film's done so badly. They finally addressed the whole thing with Finn being a stormtrooper, but then they just don't really address
Nothing happens to it. Yeah, they address it in the sense that he meets someone else who's done the same thing, and I was like, oh right, they're finally doing something with this. Maybe they're going to lead some kind of. They're going to face down some stormtroopers and say, hey, it's okay to leave. But no, that never happens. There's still the mass slaughter of stormtroopers, even though we now know that they are, an enslaved child army. That have been brought up in this, but still one shot with a phaser and they're dead, and that's okay. All the armor that stormtroopers wear, what function is that serving? Because it obviously doesn't stop gunshots, does it?
I get the impression it's like conductive for the energy to like pass it around the body no matter where you hit them and make sure they do die.
Make sure they actually die, yeah.
It's like a mercy
so they don't want any injured
it's a mercy thing, so they're not like bleeding out, they just quick and painless.
That's the thing, though. Like, this felt like a very basic Star Wars film to me, but it worked on that level as well. Like, and that's what J.J. Abrams will bring you.
I don't think it did. I found the first half, I did find very entertaining in a way that I didn't find The Force Awakens remotely entertaining. There was a lot of stuff it was doing that pissed me off, but that aside, I was like entertained by it. But then the second half, it just got too fantasy bullshit. And I mean, she's like this in all the films, but I was very aware of Daisy Ridley's acting after your complaint. But I don't know, is she shit? Because I think that's like Star Wars acting. And what the weird thing with Daisy Ridley is, I think her facial expressions are really good. I think her like physical acting is fantastic.
It's just dialogue, yeah.
But it's the lines of dialogue are just so robotic and lifeless. But I want to see her in something else because I can't tell if it's her or the direction she's been given.
So, shall we rate it?
Yeah, we can
go on then. You go first. Your negativity.
I think if I had to watch these films again, I'd sooner sit down and watch this and enjoy it than The Force Awakens. But I think it's a pathetic, spineless film, and I just think it's very badly made. So yeah, 5 out of 10.
I think you're right. I think the second film was much more interesting, but this film was better, just better structured, and I think Abrams
don't think it was.
No, the last film was all over. But
this one's all over the place.
Storylines that didn't relate to each other.
There's like all this bullshit about finding some magic crystal, and then at the end they're just like, "Oh, there's another one."
That's fantasy bullshit. That's what I expect from Star Wars. Anyway, I thought it was sort of just watchable in that sense, in that I wasn't bored. But I gave it a 6.
Who would have thought it? Star Wars. And lastly, the CGI nightmare-inducing Tom Hooper vehicle. What is it when a director does it? It's not a vehicle, is it?
Pet.
Yeah.
Which is relevant.
Yeah. Cats.
We were not shocked by what we found.
This is the film we haven't seen yet, or rather, I haven't seen yet. I'm going to see it the week after this episode goes out, I'm afraid. So check into patreon.com/Dim Returns, and we will put our review to Minnesota up as soon as possible. I said to Alan that he could just rattle off his thoughts for this episode, but he quite rightly said that it really deserves a proper analysis from both of us. So do look out for that.
Do you want to play the final deciding round of the quiz, the music quiz,
yes,
2019's music quiz?
Remind us all, where are the points at?
You are both drawing, actually. You both have 11 points. So this is the decider this round now. Last week, we played this with shit cover versions of songs from 2019 films. This week, we are looking at shit original songs. They're not all shit. They're all right. I mean, most of them are shit. This first one is fucking diabolical. You ready for it?
Follow me home if you dare to. I wouldn't know where to lead you. Should I take chances when no one took chances on me? So I watch from the dark, wait for my life to start with no beauty in my memory. All that I wanted was to be wanted.
I didn't specify, but I'm looking for the name of the song, the artist, and the film for a point each. Calvin, what do you think that is?
Oh shit! Oh, I don't know that. Is it from Cats?
It is from Cats. Yes. Even though it sounds nothing like a single song in Cats. So that's very interesting.
Not even that one that they actually wrote.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I'm assuming that's the one that they've written to try and get a Best Original Song Oscar.
Yep.
So, is it Taylor Swift?
It is Taylor Swift and arguably Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Oh, okay.
Do you know the name of it?
Remember Me.
No, not far off. It's called Beautiful Ghosts. And among its many crimes against humanity, it features Taylor Swift attempting to rhyme the word wanted with wanted.
But it will be their Best Original Song Oscar entry, won't it? The film will probably get nominated for Best Visual Effects, though Christ knows why.
Where's the line? Because surely that should just get nominated for Best Animated Film, if anything. I mean,
that's a good point. Yeah, well,
but you're right.
I think nominated for Best Animated Film at the Golden Globes, didn't it?
Yeah, and visual effects, I think. Or no, sorry, no. I saw it was shortlisted for visual effects at the Oscars, not nominated. All right, here we go. Song 2.
I don't know just where that river flows. Yeah, all I see that's guiding me is the fuzz on the end of my nose. Oh, but I believe in destiny or whatever it is that brought a friend like you to me. So we say, da-dee-dee, da-dee-dee.
Is it from Aladdin?
No. Although
damn it, I heard friend like you in there.
I see your logic. Yeah. Very, very good thinking. But I don't think either of you are going to get this one.
Is it pas de deux?
Is it what?
Pas de deux. That's what it sounds like he's saying.
Pas de deux.
Pas de deux. Pas de deux.
It's going daddly-doo, doodly-dee, diddly-doo. So you're not far wrong. That is Do-Dilly-Doo, brackets, A Friend Like You, by Walter Martin from the film Missing Link, Laker Entertainment's latest offering. And you know what? I mean, I went in with very low expectations. I was actually very pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it. Not a bad effort, although it was that classic thing where it's like, really? You put all this work making this gorgeous animation for this story? This is the one you went with. But it was fine. All right. Next up, the name of the film is in the song.
Oh, the dead don't die any more than you or I. They're just ghosts inside a dream.
It sounded like... Yeah, I can't hear the lyrics very well. Did sound like he said at one point, the dead will still be walking. Is it Zombieland?
No, but it does feature Bill Murray fighting zombies.
Oh, what was that film called?
Ghostbusters.
No, the dead. The dead are here. What was it called?
That is The Dead Don't Die, from The Dead Don't Die by Sturgill Simpson. It's used frequently throughout that very weird film. like at one point Adam Driver's like, oh, this song, and Bill Murray's like, what is it? And he's like, oh, it's the theme from the movie. It's a weird attempt at meta. They do a lot of like, how do you know that? I read the script kind of jokes. And it's just like, we're still doing that in 2019.
Yeah, it's not meta so much as just breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah. It's very weird. Anyway, next up. This is a nice quick clip for you now, so be ready.
Yeah, why you had to go and mess with the postman? That's what you get when you mess with the postman.
Calvin, you work in animation, so you should be aware of this, but I don't.
Postman Pat movie.
With the rap
I'm afraid not. That was from. It's been about a week since I watched it, and I already can't remember if it's Claus or Klaus that they say in the film. But I think it was Claus, given the Santa Claus connection.
The animated film.
Yeah, the very, very exciting, if you're into animation, I would say, innovative, envelope-pushing, bit of a hand-drawn animation that went straight to Netflix. Sorry, that was a Freudian slip, if ever there was one. Straight to Netflix, but prior to The Irishman, I would say it was the most kind of cinematic, impressive, theatre-quality Netflix film to date. It felt very impressive from an animation point of view, and it's not a bad film on its own merits. So if you're still looking for some Christmas entertainment now in 2020, January 2020, do check out Claus. And I have no idea who that was by, probably the composer of the film. Right, next up, an incredibly mediocre piece of...
Into the unknown.
Calvin?
That is Into the Unknown by Idina Menzel from Frozen 2.
Yeah. I could tell it's Frozen 2 just by the singing style.
It really is, without giving too much away, of an inevitable Diminisode that may or may not be out by the time this episode lands. Everything about the songs in that film, it's like the songwriting team, Thingy Lopez and the other Lopez, were just given a prompt and then they just improvised a song, and then Idina Menzel just went out and fucking sang her heart out. It's just like, give me a name of a song, Alan.
William, It Was Really Nothing.
William, it was really nothing! 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 That's Frozen 2. My review right there. Fucking sack of shit. Anyway, Calvin is tearing away from you, Alan, with 16 points to your 11. So, let's see. Can you pull it back?
Yeah, and the wind is talking. Yeah, for the very first time. Well, the melody that pulls you towards.
Calvin?
Where did that is Emily Sandé.
No, it's not, but...
shit. Okay.
Keep going.
Never mind.
What do you think it was?
I don't know.
Emily Sandé, who's that?
Well, she's a singer. I thought it was a song that they've been playing on Radio 2 recently.
What's the heavens open?
Yeah, I've heard this. Shit, what's it called? Oh, stop. I know it. It's called Rise Up. And it's from... Oh, fuck, what's it from? Are you sure it's not Emily Sandé?
No, and it's also not called Rise Up. So, Calvin, you are now banned from answering until Alan has a go on this one.
Is it Emily Sandé?
You guys, Alan, Jesus Christ.
What?
No, that was Spirit by Beyonce Knowles from The Lion King.
Oh,
I can't believe we don't recognise Beyonce singing.
yeah, shit, actually, that has been getting radio play, but or maybe I'm thinking of an Emily Sandé song.
All right, well, next up, I don't expect either of you to get this, because I haven't even seen this film, but I thought the song was
well.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Best believe I punched Keanu Reeves and it was better than any scene you could see in Speed. I hit John Wick and now I'm feeling so appealing. Basically, I'm a god, you could call me Hercules. Best believe I punched Keanu Reeves and it was better than any scene you could see in Speed. I'm telling you for
Toy
real.
Story 4, is it?
No, it's a good guess. I like it. No, it's a song called "I Punched Keanu Reeves."
Oh, I could have guessed
by,
that.
by Hello Peril, which is basically Randall Park, if you know him, the actor.
Randall
Oh, yeah.
He did some sort of rom-com this year, semi-autobiographical, with a woman whose name I don't know because I didn't make a note of it because she didn't do the song, called "Always Be My Maybe." So there you go. I assume he's some kind of comedy rapper in the...
One of those wacky comedy things, Calvin.
Yeah. All right. 3 more to go. Calvin, you are winning. 16 points to Alan's 11. Still, come on, Alan. You have to get all of these right, pretty much. No.
Is it a kids' film?
It is a kids' film.
Dora
Is
the
it Secret
Explorer.
Life of Pets 2?
No. It's one we could have made a case for doing a Diminisode on. We've covered films in this franchise before.
Lego Movie Part 2?
Oh, he's done you, Alan. He's done you. It is the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Yes.
So is it by Chris Pratt?
No.
Oh.
But do you remember the big song from the Lego Movie?
Everything is awesome.
Yeah. Who featured in that? I'll give you a point if you can get one of these artists, because there are 3 artists credited.
Oh, God.
On the song's called Super Cool. I'll tell you that now.
Jay-Z.
No. It's by Beck, Robin, and now these are the comedy rappers. Alan, do you want to jump in? Comedy rappers. There's not a lot of them that are of note. It's The Lonely Island.
Oh.
You should have got that, guys. You should have got that.
I should have said that.
Yeah. All right. Next up. You ought to get this, guys.
I am your buddy until the end.
Oh! Toy Story 4?
No.
When you feel lonely and you start to cry, I am always by your side.
I mean, he's not much of a singer, but he's a well-known fan favourite.
Randy Newman.
No, it doesn't sound like you're going to get it. That's the Buddy song by Bear McCreary, who also composed the music for Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Mark Hamill from Child's Play.
Well, until the end.
The remake, of course, the remake from 2019. All right, this is the last one. Alan, this is your last chance to not embarrass yourself.
Oh.
Let's see if you can get it.
All right.
I can't let you throw your damn away. I can't let you throw your damn away. Don't you know that you are a toy?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the name of the song, but that's obviously Randy Newman.
That is Randy Newman.
Toy
Well
Story
done.
4.
Well done. It's Randy Newman with "I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away" from Toy Story 4.
This film is called Toy Story. It isn't called Folk Story.
I thought that was you, Sol.
No, that's Randy. Randy
ridiculous,
Newman.
That's why I was laughing, because I thought it was you doing a funny song to finish. Oh, wow.
Should we hear the rest of it?
Yeah.
I can let you throw yourself away. Key change. I can let you.
So this is you.
I can let you throw yourself away. I can let you.
Is that Forky on the song as well?
Yourself away. Randy Newman.
I mean, it's obviously Randy Newman because he said his name at the end. So
Randy Newman.
I'm very confused. Did Alan get a point for his answer?
I got 2.
Yeah, he did. He gets 2. Toy Story 4 and Randy Newman.
But was that actually Randy Newman singing?
Yes.
Was it actually?
Don't you recognise Randy Newman?
I can't tell if you're having me on or not because it sounds a lot like Sol.
That's Diminishing Returns' latest comedy character, Randy Newman. Randy Newman on the guitar instead of the piano. Despite that, missing that obvious answer at the end, it was of course Randy Newman. Despite missing that, Calvin, you still won with 17 points to Alan's 13.
That matches up with the tally I had going.
So well done. You've won
Thank you.
the music of 2019 quiz.
Yeah.
The music of the films of 2019 quiz. Oh God. Woo. You know what, guys? I was working out my top 10 albums of the decade earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
Only 3 of them were by Electric Six. Whoever's edited this one, put a little "budum-tsh" in there. What was your favourite film of 2019, guys?
Ooh.
Alan, you've actually seen a lot this year for once.
Have I?
Even though it's just stuff you've got to see for this podcast, yeah.
I suppose mine would, by default, be either Knives Out or Detective Pikachu. Yeah. What's yours, Sol?
Do you want my top 10? I've got a
go on
list
then.
here.
Oh yes, and actually in my would be that French animated film that you're gonna mention in your top 10.
Yes. This is of the time recording. I'm still yet to watch many sort of Oscar-y films that haven't quite made their way out yet. But I watched The Irishman yesterday. I finished that, so I'm fairly up to date, you know. Number 10, Midsummer. Excellent horror film, well worth checking out. Very unnerving. A real trip. Number 9, Rocket Man. I really liked Rocket Man. I love a musical. I love Elton John. It just worked for me. Number 8, Captain Marvel. It's just Marvel doing their thing, but doing it well. Number 7, Avengers Endgame. That should tell you something about what I think of this year in general, given how lukewarm I was on it in last week's episode. But, you know, it was good. Number 6, Gojira, King of the Monsters. I love it. I'm standing by it. Brilliant. Number 5, Toy Story 4. I mean, I liked it. It wasn't, you know, good enough to justify itself, but it was still great. Number 4, El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. See, it's a really weak year for films, I think, overall. And now we enter the top 3, which are the only ones I'm really, like, properly into and make me happy. Number 3, Marriage Story. Excellent film. I mean, it'll be up for all the Oscars and things, so we can talk about it then, but it's fantastic. Really, really enjoyed it. Funny as well. Quite funny. Wow. Number 2, I Lost My Body. Calvin recommended this to me on Facebook, and it was a very good recommendation. Thank you, Calvin. It was,
really very welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. I watched the French language version.
Yes.
With English subtitles, so I could feel extra pretentious.
Yeah.
Yes.
I understand there is a Dev Patel dub on there, but I'm not interested in Dev Patel. I don't want anything to do with it. And number 1, Us. Jordan Peele's Us. I loved it. Better than Get Out. It won't get anywhere near the Oscars, but it ought to.
I found a couple of 8 out of 10s so far. That's the best I've got. Zombieland Double Tap and what was the other one? Terminator Dark Fate.
Wow.
I know. What's that about?
Weird. And well, it's weird picks like mine with Godzilla, I guess. It's yeah. Well, I'd like to chuck out an honourable mention to Good Boys. everyone's been raving about Booksmart, but I like Good Boys more because I'm a misogynist, apparently. I also really like Zombieland Double Tap, like Alan. So, singing the praises.
A lot of franchise stuff this year. A lot of very middle-of-the-road franchise stuff.
Yeah, it's all just kind of... Loads of, like, just fan service stuff, though. Not just franchise, but, like, fan service. El Camino is just pure Breaking Bad fan service. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, pure Godzilla fan service. Avengers Endgame, obviously. Arguably Joker to a degree. Rocketman was just Elton John fan service. It's all been fan service. Anyway, 2019, done.
Yep.
Ticked off.
Wow. Yeah.
2020. What's coming up this year, guys?
Ooh.
Same old shit.
Calvin?
No Time to Die!
What's that then?
It's the latest James Bond film,
Time
which
travel
we
movie.
probably won't be able to talk about, actually, Sol, because you have to watch the other 4 Daniel Craigs before you watch this new one.
That's true, that is true.
Yeah. Me and Alan can do a Diminishing on it.
Yeah.
What else do we have? What are you guys looking forward to?
I was looking forward to the CGI monstrosity that was Sonic the Hedgehog, but it looks like they've sorted him out now and he's not as funny, so I'm not excited anymore.
They are doing a new Bill and Ted film. Quite excited about that.
I'm excited because that's my Halloween costume for this year sorted. Old Keanu Reeves, Bill Ted, whichever one he is. Diminishing Returns. Patreon.
Will return.
Will diminish in 2020.
Facebook. Look on go like the Facebook. Follow the Twitter.
At Dim Returns
Follow the
Pod.
Instagram.
Also at Dim Returns Pod.
Subscribe on the Spotify.
Don't know what that one is.
Subscribe on the
YouTube.
Patreon.
Patreon's the most
bonus
important
content.
one because they can pay for that.
Yeah, give it. Yeah, because that helps us with hosting costs. And there's a thing you can do, which is you can sign up for 1 month and listen to everything on there, and then just like fuck off again. And lots of people have been doing that. So come and chuck $1 at us for like a back catalogue of. All right, bye.
Bye.